Good morning. Today we'll have the main considerations of Bharatiya Darshan, including its purpose, its branches, and thereafter we will also include three darshan: Cārvāka, Buddhism, and Jainism. The purpose of this discourse is not to impart that highest kind of knowledge, but to have an understanding of the development of our life, how life has developed from the beginning to what we are today. It's the development of our mind, development of our relation to this life, to this universe. And in a word, I would say, knowing about ourselves. There is an episode which is said to be related to people. One is Vivekananda and the other Dayananda Saraswati. When Vivekananda ji went to his guru, Swami Ram Tirth, तो अंदर से आवाज़ आई, उनसे मिलने के लिए गए थे, अंदर से आवाज़ आई कि कौन है? तो विवेकानंद जी ने कहा, यही तो जानने आया हूँ मैं। और यही बात दयानंद जी के बारे में भी है कि जो अपने गुरु स्वामी ब्रजानंद जी से पहली बार मिलने गए तो उन्होंने पूछा, अंदर से आवाज़ आई, कौन है? तो उन्होंने यही कहा कि यही तो जानने आया हूँ मैं कौन हूँ। सो आई थिंक दिस इज द इम्पॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन ऑफ फिलॉसफी. दिस इज द first important question about philosophy, to which all other questions, subsidiary questions, are related. There are different approaches to this question which have developed in the form of philosophy, in the form of darshan. Etymologically, darshan comes from the root drash, which means darshan or seeing. But seeing is not an ordinary seeing. I am looking at you, you are looking at me. You are going to the market, you are watching, seeing so many things. Here, this is not the meaning. But here, it is something a higher kind of seeing. This is not the seeing which comes under emotional intelligence. It's a kind of realization about life. It's some kind of realization about yourself, about some power, or some deep kind of thinking which cannot be experienced or which is not perceptible by eyesight, by our eyes. So, darshan means to observe things in a state, the state that is trans-conscious meditative state. When you see things the way our sages had seen things. So, that's kind of experience which has been compiled by their disciples, and thereafter the followers, and this is a long tradition which now today have in the form of philosophy. So, here we are not sharing that experience, because that experience which they experience can't be shared. Rather, we just deal with the development, how people have thought about. So, here when we translate darshan into philosophy, so philosophy is not the translation. Philosophy has two components, philos and sophia. Philos means love and sophia means knowledge. So, love for knowledge. But yes, but one thing is there, both darshan and subject, darshan and philosophy as subject, they do not aim at providing the tools for opening your Gyan Chakshu, what you would call, or Div Chakshu or Pragya Chakshu. So, not purpose, they do not give that highest kind of intelligence, but the philosophy or darshan is an account of that experience, which with the help of which people, sages, teachers, they try to understand this world. They try to understand human body, soul, mind and the relationship. So, here the main concern in both the tradition is to have an understanding of the development of our life, how it has developed from the beginning to what we are today. The benefit of knowing this development, again I tell you, it does not mean that we enter into that experience, or this is the way how we can experience that experience which the sages had. It is just merely an experience about ourselves. It is merely a knowledge. But yes, one thing sure, after studying, reading the systems, all Indian and Western, yes, one thing will be there. People, others cannot befool you in the name of knowledge. ये ज्ञान है, ये ज्ञान की बातें हैं. Then you all understand, oh, this is we know what you know, what you are telling about. So, in India, we have 9 main darshans. We have Cārvāka, Buddhism, Jainism, and then 6 darshans, which we call Shat Darshan, Sankhya, Yoga, Nyaya, Vaisheshik, Mīmānsa and Vedanta. So, these 6 systems, they work in pairs. There are 3 allied systems. Sankhya and Nyaya, there are 2 allied systems. Nyaya, then Sankhya and Yoga, they are allied systems. Nyaya and Vaisheshik, they are 2 allied systems, and then Mīmānsa and Vedanta. So, they work in pairs, they can be understood in pairs. And all of them, the highest ideal is, one thing is common, the common denominator in all darshans except Cārvāka, that the life is full of suffering. And there are ways to free from these sufferings of life. That is liberation. That is your moksha, mukti, nirvana, kaivalya, apavarga. Different, these terms have been used for liberation. So, it is a mukti, it is a liberation, it is a freedom. Freedom from ignorance and freedom from sufferings, because we undergo sufferings we experience sufferings because of ignorance. So they are ways. And for them, the sages has the propounders, they have their own darshan, their own philosophies, or branches. They have given 3 branches. First branch is metaphysics, ontology, which we call Tattva-mīmānsa. Then we have metaphysics, which that is the means of second is epistemology. So first is metaphysics, that is ontology, Tattva-mīmānsa. Second is epistemology, means of valid knowledge, and that is Jnana-mīmānsa. And third is axiology, where we have Mūla-mīmānsa. In metaphysics, we have 3 concerns, that how the Srishti has been created, how this cosmos has been created, or second question is regarding your mind, psychology. This is conscious, unconscious, subconscious, Chetan, or Achetan, or Avchetan. Then the third concern of metaphysics is theology, that is Ishwar-mīmānsa. Is there any God? If God is there, it is Sagun with form, Nirgun, formless. It is in the world or beyond the world. So these are certain questions about. So these are the questions which have been taken up by in the branch of metaphysics. Then second branch is your epistemology, means of valid knowledge. That is also known as Jnana-mīmānsa. So here, epis means Jnana and logy means process of knowing. So it's a process of knowing. Process of knowing what? The questions, the concerns related to ontology, metaphysics, or theology. Then we have in epistemology we have perception. When I will be discussing the systems, the darshan, so these epistemological tools, there are 6 we have. They will be taken up at varying intervals. So I here give you the list of them, so that I will not repeat them, otherwise it will be just wasting of time. So this is again important to know what are these tools. So these tools are, first is your perception, how we test a knowledge, how we confirm that it's a valid knowledge. The first tool is, first evidence or means is your perception, pratyaksh praman. When we confirm about an object by having the object in touch with our senses. I touch this table, I see this table, I see you, you look at me, you know I am here. So this is our direct perception. Then second is but it's direct perception, but it has also two parts: direct perception or indirect, or determinate or indeterminate. Determinate, when you see an object and you know that it is chair, it's a man, it's Ram, it's Sham. So when you confirm it, when you can give a name to an object, that is determinate. But if you look, you see something, yes, something is there, I know it's there, but you do not know what it is, that is indeterminate. Second one is inference, anuman. The knowledge that is attained by accepting some standard, we call it inference, anuman, and it has 5 parts. We confirm this knowledge by anuman, so we have to have 5 parts. What are those? Number 1, identification, identifying the context, that is called pratigya. For example, there is a fire behind the mountain. This has to be proved. This is our identification. This is the problem. Then second, the cause. There must be a cause also. Because what is the cause? Because there is smoke. Then third important aspect is universal principle, that is Dashtant. So what is the universal principle? That where there is smoke, there is fire. So because it has been seen not once or twice, but every time it has been seen in the kitchen, in the house, outside the house, everywhere, that wherever there is smoke, there is fire. So that's the universal principle. And then we have application. Fourth is that we apply, that after knowing that smoke remains in the fire, we then apply. So we confirm it, we accept it, yes, wherever there is fire, there is smoke, there is fire. And the first and the fifth is then deduction, nigaman, and then say hence it is proved. So these are the the parts of the process of anuman or inference, with the help of which we have a valid knowledge. The third is your verbal testimony or shabd, you can shabd also, shabd praman. Shabd praman means when we have some authority, we have certain text, we have Vedas, we have Gita, we have Upanishads. So if we get something there on the basis of, we also accept these are also valid sources of knowledge, valid means of knowledge. So if something is written there, we accept it, we don't question, yes, that's there. Or some reliable person confirms, then also we accept. So this kind of evidence is known as verbal testimony or shabd praman. Next is comparison. Sometimes we, by comparing one object with the other, we get it knowledge. Suppose you go to the forest and you are asked to confirm whether there is the wild ox there in the jungle? You say, I do not know because I haven't seen. So, you are given information that he looks like cow, which has 2 horns, which has 4 legs. These are the parts, these are also different parts are given to you, and then you confirm it. Okay, fine. So, as soon as you see such an animal in the forest, you say, oh yes, this is an ox. So, this is how by comparing things you can have a valid knowledge. Then 5th is postulation or arthapatti. Here 2 incidents are there, 2 statements are there, and these 2 statements are not in harmony, not in tune. There is some kind of contradiction. So, in order to establish a relationship between those 2 statements or 2 similar incidents, we try to remove the contradiction. We try to establish a relationship because we are missing link there. So, when you miss a link between 2 statements, 2 incidents, then you try to establish a relationship by some kind of hypothesis. This is known as postulation. For example, somebody tells you that this boy is putting weight and he doesn't eat food during the day. So, it is something contradictory. We know that if you do not take food, you will become weak, you will lose weight, but you do not eat and still you are putting on weight. So, there is something missing. So, what he does then he gives he gives a hypothesis. He formulates a hypothesis, and hypothesis, okay, he doesn't eat food during the day, but then he might be eating food during night. So, this kind of hypothesis, formulating hypothesis, this is known as postulation. Then 6th means of valid knowledge is non-apprehension or non-cognition. Artha, this is anuplabdhi. That sometimes the absence of an object also makes you feel its presence. Suppose you are there here today, you are sitting and she is sitting here. Tomorrow Ansh doesn't come. So, I observe, oh, Ansh is not there. So, his presence makes me feel, or his presence makes me feel that there was Ansh yesterday. So, this absence of Ansh gives the idea of presence, that he was there. So, when you miss something, so missing something is also the consciousness of the presence of somebody. This is how there are these 6 valid means of valid knowledge. Then the 3rd branch of philosophy is axiology, that is Mulya Mimamsa. And here we have 2 things. Number 1, ethics, Niti Shastra. So, this is how in which we analyze ethical implications of our actions. कि ये धर्म है, ये धर्म है। महाभारत में जो बिगेस्ट क्वेश्चन है वो यही है, व्हाट इज धर्म, व्हाट इज अधर्म। इट्स वेरी डिफिकल्ट। सो देयर आर सम एथिकल क्वेश्चंस related to life, and here in this branch, so first part is to be dealt with ethics, and then we have second part is aesthetics, where we evaluate the aesthetic value of a work of art. So these are all branches. One more thing is to know that in order to have a valid knowledge, this process requires three things. One, then there should be a pramata, knower, who wants to know knowledge, who wants to have a valid knowledge. Then there is a pramey, the object, the knowable object, and then third object is, that is praman. We also need to have a praman, means of knowledge. And when we have these three things, pramata, pramey, praman, or the knower, the knowable, and means of knowledge, then we have prama. What is prama? Prama means valid knowledge. Now we come to the first part of philosophy. You see on the screen that this is the first age, Vedic age. Here there are 4 parts of Vedas. These 4 parts are Sahita, Brahman, Aranyak, and Upanishads. These Sahita are the mantras. The hymns, in order to evoke gods, devtas, in order to experience some metaphysical realities. They also tell about, of course, they are also related to our day-to-day life. But the important part, which you will come to know later, that Mīmānskas, they have emphasized on the recitation of mantras so much so that by performing them, reciting them, they can invoke the devata, directly they can come. The second part is Brahman, ritual performances related to Karma Kand. And the third is dealing with the laws for those rishis and others, those who are living in the forest. How we have to perform life, how we have to live. So there are rules and regulations also, there are also ways. And third is, the fourth is your Upanishads, the philosophical text. So they are dealing with metaphysical and ontological questions. Now, this is our first phase as far as philosophy is concerned. Here, one more thing we need to know, that is the different systems of philosophy. I told you in the beginning that importantly we have 9 darshan, but there is a very important text, that is Sarva Darshan Sangraha. It includes 16 darshans. There are 2 types of main darshanas in India and outside. They are theistic or atheistic. Generally, those who repose their faith in God, they are accepted as theistic, darshan philosophies, and those who do not repose their faith in God, they are atheist. But in India or Indian context, our definition of darshan is different. Here, those who do not repose their faith in the authority of the Vedas, not completely. If you completely reject, then you are atheist. But even if you accept even just one single notion, single prescription of Vedas, you are not atheist. So that way, Cārvāka is there only, about whom we do not have valid knowledge, that they rejected, they didn't repose their faith in Vedas, or they rejected Vedas. Otherwise, all the darshan, in one way or the other, they accept the metaphysical resolutions as given in the Vedas. So I think in India we do not have that kind of atheistic philosophy or darshan, because importantly we are dealing with soul, we are dealing with karma, we are dealing with rebirth, God and all. So in one way or the other, one thing is there, that is life is full of suffering, and there is a way to liberation. There is a role of karmas, actions, and that is there, that is accepted everywhere in all darshan, in all philosophies. So we cannot say that we have, except for Cārvāka, we do not have any atheistic darshan of philosophy. So yeah, I was talking about Sarva Darshan Sangraha. This is a very important book by Madhvacharya, and he has included 16 darshans. He has, that is Cārvāka, Bauddha system, Jain system. Then we have Shat Darshan, which work in pairs like your Sankhya and Yoga, Nyaya and Vaisheshik, Mimamsa and Vedanta. Vedanta also includes your Advait Vedanta, Vishishta Advait, Vedanta, then Dvait Advait, and then we have Shaiv Darshan also, Pashupata Darshan, Pratyabhijya Darshan, or Raseshwar Darshan. So this is how, and he also includes Parnani's Darshan. So this is how we have 16 darshans there in Sarva Darshan Sangraha. Now we come to this, after this background, we come to this beginning of the phase of darshan philosophy. Before we take up these darshan, these philosophies, let us have a background. And let us accept this background, this second phase of philosophy. If we accept first Vedic period as first phase, so second phase, but this second phase is the questioning phase, because people were not able to understand what was there in the Vedas, or sometimes they were misunderstood or misinterpreted. So, because of that there were questions. This was the time of 5th, 6th century. So, the 5th, 6th century in India, we had Buddha, we have Mahavir, we have Puran Kashyap. He was also a philosopher known for the doctrine of non-action. And then there was one more important name, Makhli Ghoshal, contemporary of Lord Buddha. And another important, who is said to be the first Cārvāka, is Ajit Keshav Kambli. Ajit Keshav Kambli, he was also in 6th century. So, it was again, they're questioning Vedas, they're questioning Karmakant, arguing, counter-arguing. At the same time, Mīmānsakas were also there. Kumaril Bhatt, particularly his name is there. Thereafter. So, 5th, 6th, 7th century, they are very important. So, it was an age of questioning, arguing and counter-arguing. So, what was the reason of questioning? This was in India, we have Mahavir, Buddha, then Makhli Ghoshal, Ajit Keshav Kambli, and even in the world also, we have some other names. Those who were questioning the existence, questioning the authorities. But let us first see what was the reason. The first reason was the polytheism. Aneka Shrawan. Even that was in Greek, philosophy also, or Greek life. Many gods were there. It was in India also. So people were in confusion. What to do now? एक मंत्र आता है हमारे यहाँ, कस्मई देवाय हविषा विधिमा, which to God I should offer my oblation. किसकी पूजा करूं, किसको मानूं मैं? Because here in Vedas, there is a journey. If you read them, study them, from centrifugal to centripetal. Earlier, the approach is physical, about the material positions, but gradually the journey leads to spirituality. In the West, it's reversed. The West started with spirituality, and then they indulged into materialism. In this period, in the West, there was upheaval. The whole world was having a revolution because of this polytheism and because of some rituals or ritualistic performances. So, when the rituals became very prominent, especially the sacrifice of animals, Pashubali, the society started opposing the ritualistic system of philosophy. One more reason was that it was the time of agriculture. People involved, they engaged, or there was a development in agriculture life. So, some people held that there was a transcendental world, while some did not. Some report their faith in the Vedas, the ultimate truth, or Shabban, but some didn't. Similarly, and Cārvāka was there who completely rejected any kind of metaphysical presentation. Then we have the Buddha system, Jain system. They also do not report their faith in God, in soul, the way they have been conceived with the Vedas. So, this was the age of 5th, 6th, 7th century. This background gave, or rather expedite, the development of three darshans, three philosophies, which are known as Cārvāka, Buddhism and Jainism. So, let us first have Cārvāka system. The name Cārvāka, about Cārvāka we have theories. Some people believe that this is called Cārvāka because the philosophy is based on Cārvāka, 4 statements. And then some say that its name is Cāruvāka. Charu means charmful. Why is charmful? What is the philosophy of Cārvāka? It was the philosophy of hedonism, Sukhvadi. No metaphysical considerations, no ethical considerations, just enjoy your life at every cost. This is the philosophy. So, this is how they are known as Cāruvāka. So, whatever they say, it was so pleasing. So, that is also the justification of its name, Cārvāka. And some say that its root is charvu, charum, to eat. So, the followers of this Cārvāka philosophy, they destroy all ethical considerations, all metaphysical considerations. So, they were called as Cārvāka, or sometimes called as a Lokayat, because it was, this darshan was for the lok, for common people. And of course, some say this is Gnostic, atheistic. The reason is that they had a materialistic approach to life. About them, we don't have any primary sources available, and it is also believed that this darshan was propagated by Brihaspati, the teacher of gods. He believes to be the founder of Cārvākas. Some of the important sutras of Brihaspati can be gleaned here. Number one, is there that earth, water, fire and air are the only elements. We have Panch Mahabhut, but Cārvāka accept only 4, because for them the valid for valid knowledge they also have one means, that is means of knowledge is perception, pratyaksh praman. So whatever there before us, whatever we can have in direct contact with the senses, that is valid. So for them only physical things are valid. They do not accept any other means of valid knowledge. So they believe only 4 elements: earth, water, fire, air, that they are the real, and all bodies, senses and objects are the results of different combinations of elements. So earth, water, fire and air, these are the different. So because of the different combinations of earth, fire, air, water, these bodies, senses and objects are formed. And then third is consciousness arises from the matter, like intoxicating quality of wine arising from the fermented yeast. So there is no God, no soul, no power at all. So it's because of, so what is our body? Our body is this combination of 4 elements, and this consciousness is the result of this combination. As he illustrates that when we take up different gradients, or in order to make wine, so it is not there. If you take up those ingredients individually, you will not taste the effect of intoxication, but the moment you put them together, keep them for some time, then there is wine. So how this wine comes? It is just because of the combination, some elements required for wine. Similarly, the elements of earth, water, fire and air, when they are combined together, then the consciousness comes automatically. And then this next is, enjoyment is the only end of human life, nothing else, no concern at all. You have to enjoy, you have to celebrate its life. And what is liberation? Death. So what are our metaphysical questions in darshan? The questions are death, liberation, rebirth, soul, God, mind, all these things are there. Cārvākas do not accept anything. They say it's nothing to worry about, transcendental world, there is no world beyond this world. That is the reality, and it's just nothing but the combination of different elements, that is earth, air, water, fire. about their metaphysics also. They say that world is not the creation of God. Earth, water, fire and air are real contents. So, even they do not accept Panch Mahabhutas. They do not accept Akash, because you can't touch Akash and you cannot touch even, you cannot see even. You just, it's just you see, you accept, you believe Akash is there, but even if you go to space, you won't be able to touch it. So, their Cārvākas do not accept. They accept only four elements, and these four elements: earth, water, fire and air, because we can feel, we feel about them. And they say, so while life is yours, live joyously, none can escape death's searching eye. When once this frame of ours they burn, how shall it ever again come? Return. So, how it's possible? It cannot come. So, once, so death is the end of life, death is the liberation, and there is no heaven, no final liberation or any soul in another world, nor do the actions of our forecasts, orders, etc. produce any real effect. So, do not indulge in your karma kand, do not indulge in anything. The reality is life and death is the only liberation. So, you should not worry about it. Then he talks about mind, soul. He says that bodies, senses and objects are the results of different combinations of elements, as already said, and this consciousness arises from the matter like intoxicating quality of wine arising from fermented yeasts. So, even this consciousness is not a very serious concern. It is a result of the combinations of our four elements. Then about theology, God, there is no God. They do not accept any existence of God, and similarly they do not believe in any kind of aesthetics, any kind of ethics. Only there is one word for them, that is enjoyment. Enjoyment is the only end of human life, which, and therefore, so their philosophy is known as philosophy of hedonism. So, there is a rejection of morality, rejection of dharma, only the emphasis on self interest. They do not believe in any religious rituals. So, this kind of philosophy Cārvākas propounded, where only one thing was important, that was enjoyment. No God, no soul, no rebirth, no any kind of rituals and performances. So, just emphasis was on the self, individual self. So, you have to enjoy this life, you have to celebrate this life without having into consideration anything transcendental, metaphysical or other kinds of considerations. But since we do not have valid information about Cārvākas, we can't say anything with conviction, with praman, with means of knowledge. But yes, whatever it is, if the benefit of doubt is to be given to the Cārvākas. Maybe they could have been a good philosophy, but because of the lack of evidence, it could have been misinterpreted or interpreted, whatever it is there. So, we do not have any valid information about them. However, today as such, it is accepted as an atheistic, philosophy. Second is the Bauddha darshan, Bauddha system of philosophy. This is divided into two parts. Mahayana, which was flourished in Tibet, China, Japan, and then Heenan, which also known as Theravad or Sthervad in Pali, flourished in Ceylon, Burma, Siam, and all, even in your little other places. So, it's as far as sources of concern, there are three important texts, though like all great teachers of ancient times, Buddha taught by conversation, and the teachings were also handed down for a long time through oral instructions, but later on they were compiled, and now we find those deliberations, those conversations and teachings in three texts. These are known as Tripitaks or three baskets of teachings. Vinapitak, that deals with rituals of conduct for the congregation, Sangh. Then we have your Sutpitak, which contains sermons and dialogues, and the third is your Abhidhammapitak, that is expositions of philosophical theories. Here we have two means of knowledge, perception and inference. They argued in favor of inference, though Cārvākas did not accept any of the means of knowledge except Praman. But Buddhists argued in favor of inference. So, here we have two types of means of knowledge, perception and inference. Now, let us see their metaphysics. Their basic theory is the theory of Kshanikvad, momentariness of all fleeting things. They say that every moment the world is changing, is not real, world is not real. So, when the world real, so the table you see now, the object you see now, next moment is changing, and every moment, so the moment is changing. So, implication by it's implied when it's changing, so it's generating something new. So, the ability to generate is the characteristics of existence. So, that is reality. So, nothing permanent, nothing real that was the basic or the common denominator of this, of the thinkers or the schools of Buddhism. There is first one school, that is your Madhyamik or Shunyavadi. It is a doctrine of universal void. It is a school of Mahayana, where Nagarjuna is the greatest philosopher who gave the doctrine of a universal void, that there is no reality, mental or non-mental. All is void. It was just like mithya of Shankar. So void does not mean nihilism. As mithya is not illusion, mithya is not false. So mithya is which is beyond true and untrue. Similarly, void is beyond what you see before you. That's not reality. So here, this shunya or void is neither positive nor negative, and even not both nor none. So it defines everything as undefinable in itself, and this shunya is transcendental reality. Its translations as nihilism, which means nothingness, is wrong. It is not nihilism, rather it is kind of transcendental reality, which is beyond real, unreal, real and unreal, and none of them. Then second school we have Yogacharyas or Vijnanavadi, whom we call sensationalist or subjective idealist. They are subjective idealists like Berkeley. So this is known as the doctrine of external void. Nagarjuna gave universal void, and this is external void. This is a Mahayana doctrine also. And here they say that only the mental is real and the non-mental or material is all void. Nagarjuna says is all mental, non-mental, void, but here says mental is real. For Nagarjuna nothing was real, either it was mental or non-mental, but for Yogacharya or Vijnanavadis, mental is real and non-mental unreal. Then the third is your Sautantrik. They are known as a critical realist, and this belongs to Heenan school. It is also called as representationalism or infallibility of the external objects, that all mental or non-mental are real. But they say that they can be experienced by inference, while the second school, sub-school or rather, that is your Vaibhashik or Sarvastivadi, those who are called as direct rationalists, they say no, this is not by inference, but directly by perception. They can they know, and their approach is that all is real, and directly they can feel, they can see. So, this is how these are the 4 schools those who talk about all is, but and then same all the teachings were given by the same teacher. It is only the difference is that of the reception, but the ultimate principle is a void emancipated from all alternatives. It's from reality, from unreality, from both reality and unreality, and from neither reality or nor unreality. Next very important again is about God. How do they think about God, soul? So, they do not believe in God, they do not believe in soul. And they were assessing these questions critically, that till today the questions about God has not been answered. There are many questions in the Vedas which cannot be answered. So, why should, and particularly the questions related to God, so why they should waste time? So, they reject God, and they say that if God is there, why then evil persons are flourishing? Why are they not punished? And why sometimes good people are being tortured? So, if such is the God, Buddhists did not repose their faith. Similarly, they reject the concept of soul also. The concept of permanent unchanging soul is rejected. And they hold that there is no permanent unchanging soul or self within individual or in any phenomenon. So, there is no soul that transmigrates. For them, they accept chitta, that is mind or receptive self, and it has own its vikar, its modifications. They all are because of our affectional, our feelings of pleasure and pain. The whole world of perception is of the receptive self. We have verbal or symbolical world represented by words like cow and so forth. So, all world is represented, so that is verbal, and then we have the impressional self, that includes the afflictions like yoga, rag, dvesh and all. They also reject that kind of rebirth. Just they believe only that this rebirth is there is because of our karma. So, this is the key concept. They do not believe in God, they do not believe in soul, they call the soul as a receptive self. But yes, rebirth is there, and they say rebirth is important because it is understood as the continuation of a stream of consciousness, is influenced by karma, actions. So, it is not the soul moving from one body to another, that is transmigration, that soul is not there, rather it is a kind of stream of consciousness which is caused by our actions. So, he call our Atma or soul as receptive self. Then important thing about is the Four Noble Truths. They say that action is very important. So, there is a relationship between cause and action, cause and effect. Even God cannot change cause and effect relation. So, Buddha is not metaphysical, a metaphysical philosopher, rather an ethical philosopher. He provides ethical philosophy. He does not give metaphysical philosophy. And what is his ethical philosophy? What is practical? That is where he says the whole world is full of suffering. This is dukh sarvam dukham. So, all is, the world is full of suffering. So, essential characteristics, contradictions of life, human and subhuman, appeared without exception to be fraught with misery. So, when this is how Shelley also says, our sweetest songs are those that tell our saddest thought. That is an expression of Buddhist thought. Then second is samudaya karan, cause of suffering. So, we have suffering in life and we have a cause of suffering also. As these sufferings are due to our indulgence in life. He has given Dwadas Nidan, where he talks about, and the most important is which we find in Patanjali, which we also find in Jainism, mudit maitri karuna upeksha. Only this is a difference of sequence. Sometimes there is called maitri karuna mudit upeksha. So, these are the four great habits. Mahavakya, or Mahavihar, a difference is known, and if you practice them, you can win over the sufferings of life. This, then he says, so we have a cause of, we have a suffering, we have cause of suffering, then we have a cessation of suffering, nirodh. The miseries depend upon conditions, and if these conditions are removed, misery would cease. And these conditions can be removed by having perfect control of passions and constant contemplation, which lead a person to through the four stages of concentration to perfect wisdom. But you know, one thing, somewhere about talking about control of, perfect control of passions and constant contemplation. So, I think that is very common. All we talk about, control your passions, control your desires, control your indulgence, and for that there is a marg, that is a marg to liberation, mukti, nirvana, moksha. It is an eightfold path given by Buddhist system: right vows, right resolve, right speech, right conduct, livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. So, this is an eightfold path given by this Buddhist darshan. in order to, so the common denominator here is that life is full of suffering, but we can win over these sufferings by following the path to liberation. So, it is entirely, it was a kind of philosophy which rejected Cārvāka philosophy. In Cārvāka philosophy, we did not have any ethical consideration, any metaphysical consideration, but here in Bauddha darshan, no doubt it is not a metaphysical philosophy. It is not impregnated with metaphysical considerations. It is based on ethical prescriptions. So, that way we can say this is a philosophy of ethics, or Buddha was an ethical philosopher, or it was a philosophy of ethics or ethical philosophy. Now, we come to the next darshan. The next darshan is our Jain system. Here in Jain system, there is an image of an element. I think with the help of this image, I would try to explain the basic philosophy of Jain system. In the see there, this is an image of an elephant on the screen. It is a story of 6 blind friends who touch different parts of an elephant. One, after touching the legs, says that the elephant is like a plur. The second touches ears and says that the elephant is like a hand fan. The third touches the trunk and says that the elephant is like cylindrical. The fourth touches the tail and says the elephant is like a rope, and the fifth touches the body and says that the elephant is like a wall, and the sixth touches the teeth and says that the elephant is like a spear. So, by this story, the message is given that the reality is complex, nothing absolute, nothing perfect. So, everything, every character, every object is ananta dharma, is innumerable, has innumerable character. Every object has innumerable characters, and every object has innumerable positive and negative characteristics. So, we need to understand in many ways, but that is not possible. So, you cannot understand the objects here, the things here in life. Man has size, color, shape, home, education, weight, etc., and numberless relations with uncountable other objects of the world. These are positive characters. The negative characters which determine that man consists of what is not. The characters that it possesses are positive, and those that others objects possess but not. So, to know fully, we should know how is distinguished from everything else. So, if you distinguish one object from the other, you need to know so many other things. So this applies to every object, that every object has ananta dharma, indefinite, endless characters are there, and it is not possible for us to know an object completely, because one who knows one object fully, it's not possible. One can only, an omniscient person can know the object completely, because objects are interlinked, they are not existed in isolation. So, only an omniscient person. Who is omniscient person? They call him as Kevali, one who is a Kevalya Gyan. So, such a person is one who has endless knowledge, Ananta Gyan, who has endless perception, Ananta Darshan, who has Ananta Charit, endless consciousness, and Anant Sukh, endless bliss. So, these are the characteristics of an omniscient. Only he can know about the object of this world. The objects of these worlds have Ananta Dharma, innumerable characteristics which we cannot understand. We have our own perception, we have our own understanding, but that is very limited. So, it is only a Kevali can understand. Who is a Kevali? You know, Kevali for Jain Darshan, this is that it reaches Siddhashila after death. Even you know, Tirthankar, everybody cannot become Tirthankar. For they, you know, as you know, they do not believe God. But you can ask a question, that if they do not believe God, why they call Mahavir, Bhagwan Mahavir? For them, a Bhagwan is one who reaches this place, Siddhashila, or who reaches the state of Tirthankar. So, Tirthankars are like Bhagwan. This here Bhagwan is not used in the sense of God or the creator or preserver or destroyer or Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. It is only the state of a Tirthankar. So, this is called Tirthankar because they reach the place that is called Siddhashila. Now, see the reality of the universe they talked about. Buddhism prescribes that everything is momentary, that is Kshanikvad, nothing permanent. Every object is changing at every moment. Similarly, Shankaracharya also says that change is unreal, reality is unchanging. Only reality is unchanging. So, what is unchanging? That is reality. Otherwise, what is changing? So, everything is changing here, therefore, this is not reality. And then for Jain, they hold that change and permanence are both real. Change and permanence. Why? Because change is permanent and change is taking place, giving birth to another, and that is permanent. So, what is permanent? Changing. The changing stage is permanent. So, the substance in which there is creation or origination and decay is real, that exists. That is the basic idea of Jainism here. So, reality consists three factors here. Number one, permanence, origination and decay. What is permanent? Which is changing, and when it is changing, it is creating something, originating something. So, decaying and creating, it is a complex, combined or continuous process. So, in substance there are permanence, origination and decay. So, here there is a dualistic view of reality, distinguishing between living and conscious and non-living, that is material entities, jeev or ajeev. This is, let's see how the chart consists of this substance which is real. It has been categorized, subcategorized. So, Jain believe that matter is made of atoms. Nyaya says God brings the atom together, but Jain does not accept this and says that atoms have an innate nature because of which they get united. So, there is no need of God to unite atoms, and that has been exemplified by the innate nature of magnet, which attracts iron automatically. Now, see the constituents, these are the constituents of reality. There are two kinds of dravya, substance, extended, non-extended. In extended we have animate, Jivatma, inanimate. In animate, then we have further emancipated, Mukt or bondage. In animate, we have Dharma, Adharma, Akash or Pudgul, that is motion, rest, space, matter, and then we have medium and substance. In non-extended or essential, that is your anastika, we have time, that is continuous flow. Though we, for practical purpose, we divide time, but this is not divisible. It is only for empirical purpose. Then we have bondage also, the two types, that is moving, non-moving. Then we have again four kinds of moving objects or the jeev, 5 sensed, 4 sensed, 3 sensed, 2 sensed, and then Pudgal into two parts, atoms and compounds. Here soul or jeev is a conscious substance. This consciousness is the essence of the soul. This is what how they believe. For Jain, soul is always present in soul, though its nature and degree may vary. Souls may be theoretically arranged in a continuous series according to the degree of consciousness. So, there are three kinds, three levels of soul. At the highest end of the scale would be perfect souls that have overcome all karmas and attained consciousness. So, when you overcome the karmas, because karmas are duties, are actions, they are the cause of suffering, they are the cause of our bondage. So, once you overcome those karmas, those actions, then you become the highest kind of, you achieve highest state or highest or attain a consciousness. So, that is your highest state of soul, number one. Then 2, at the lowest level would stand the most imperfect souls that inhabit bodies of earth, water, fire and air or vegetables. In them life and consciousness appear to be absent, but really even here consciousness is tactual kind of present. Then in between we have third level of third state of soul, and that would lie midway between having 2 and 5 senses. Thus, a soul is the knower, doer, experient. Sankhya considers the soul as a non-doer, but according to Jain, it is the soul that knows things, performs activities, enjoys, suffers and pains, and like a light, it illuminates itself, the body and the objects. The soul is eternal, but it undergoes change or states owing to the inclination of past actions. It comes to inhabit different bodies. Then they have some ethics, liberation to bondage. So, one can overcome the imperfections by having endless knowledge, ananta gyan, endless perception, ananta darshan, endless consciousness, anant charit and ananta sukh, endless bliss, which in the very beginning I told you that Jain darshan hold that every object is ananta dharma, innumerable characteristics, and is impossible for us to know. We can only understand if when we attain the state of omniscient. And then what is omniscient? One who has endless knowledge, endless perception, endless consciousness and endless bliss. Thus, the soul has these perfections, but due to bondage they are covered. The bondage is of 2 types: bhavbandh, that is ideal bondage caused by afflictions, and dravya bondage, material bondage, which is the influx of karma in soul, is caused by avidya. So, by the practice of right faith, samyak darshan, right knowledge, samyak gyan and right conduct, samyak charit, the influx of flesh karmas is removed. This stage is called stoppage. Thus, the existing karmas must be exhausted, and this stage is called nirjara. Finally, we the all karmas are exhausted and the relationship between the soul and matter is dissolved, and the soul shines this state, its intrinsic nature of infinite faith, knowledge, bliss and power. This state is called liberation, moksha. So, this is Kevala Gyan. This is the state of omniscience which is attained now, and the individual soul become omniscient, impregnated with endless knowledge, endless perception, endless consciousness and endless bliss. Here are now 4, they also prescribe for 5 great vows, and these are ahimsa, abstinence from all injury to life. The Jain saints cover their mouths lest even small creatures should be killed. So, in an ant is also, if an ant is killed by Jain saints people, they stop and express their sense of regret. They are so sensitive. So, in any way, any kind of creature should not be injured by them. Then second is satya, abstinence from falsehood. So, truthfulness is not only what is true, but seeking what is true as well as good. So, both things are there. So, whatever, so truth and good, truthfulness impregnated with good is the condition with the help of which we can come over the afflictions of life. And then third is your aste, abstinence from stealing, sanctity of the property of others. This is something, even the Jain, Jain people practice this, that whatever property they have, they say they are just trusty. They should not waste money. They should use money for the others. They should keep money as a trustee. They should not indulge in they shouldn't be spendthrift. And then next is brahmacharya, abstinence from self indulgence. So, here it has been extended to all kinds of actions. This is not for controlling calm and desires. Rather, he says that in order to become anant, omnipresent, one should win over the senses. It is not just one sense, one calm, the sense of calm or desire, but all senses we should control. And the last one, that is your apagriha, abstinence from all attachment. So, here they say that people should not accumulate things that are not necessary. They should treat themselves as just trustee of money. They should not spend money unnecessarily, rather they should use the extra money for the welfare of others. As far as their epistemology concerned, the philosophical outlook for attaining knowledge, their outlook is common sense realism or pluralism. the object perceived are real and they are many. As you remember the story of 6 blind friends while they were touching different parts of the elephant and arriving at their own conclusions and realities. Accordingly, their theory of reality is many-sided, anekantvad, and has a consequent logical doctrine, that is Syadvad. We will just take up a view. And what is this logical doctrine? That is that every judgment is subject to some conditions and limitations, and therefore, there can be many judgments about the same reality. You can't say this is wrong. When somebody, even in the picture where the 6 friends, when they say, we are telling them that this elephant is like cylindrical, like a rope, like a spear, like a wall, is because of their own experience. So, everybody is right. So, every object is Ananda Dharma, it has innumerable characteristics. Accordingly, we have innumerable possibilities and the realities, and that cannot be confirmed by an individual. We have limited knowledge. Only one who is omniscient can understand the objects of this world. So, as far for the means of knowledge concerned, the Jain system classifies knowledge as immediate and mediate, paroksh, aparoksh, but they point out that what is originally or regarded as immediate knowledge, aparoksh, is only relatively immediate. The perception of external and internal objects through the sense or mind is immediate as compared to the inference. So, even the soul knows through the medium of senses or men or mind. So, thus this is empirical knowledge, vyavharik gyan. So, such knowledge cannot be absolutely immediate knowledge, because there is absolute immediate knowledge which a soul attains by removing karma obstacles. You know, when you are in contact with an object or you are watching an object, so light coming, reflecting an object, eyes contacting an object, eyes, and then giving information to the mind. So, at any state it can be assumed there could be an error. So, what is the cause of the error? Karma, actions, they are obstacles. So, in such knowledge, soul's consciousness becomes immediately related to objects without the medium of sense, and thus these 3 kinds of immediate knowledge are there. First is aparoksh. It has avadhigyan. When a person has partially destroyed and allayed the influence of karmas, he acquires the power of knowing objects that have forms but are too distant, minute, or observed to be observed by the sense or man. Second, man paryaya gyan. When a person has overcome hatred, jealousy, he can have direct access to the minds of others and knows what is there in their minds. And then third is your kevalya gyan. When a person wins over all kinds of obstacles, and lack of knowledge is completely removed from the soul, he has absolute knowledge or he becomes omniscient. Then second type of Gyan is your Paroksh. Now, these are the, we had now three kinds of Aparoksh Gyan, now we have two kinds of Paroksh Gyan. Mati Gyan, knowledge obtained by senses or Man, and then Shrut Gyan, that is verbal testimony, knowledge obtained from valid authority or text. So, this is how the Jain give an account of the process by which ordinary perception takes place and is retained. We have the first is grasping the subject or primary state of consciousness, that is when there is only a distinction, sensation say of a sound, but it is not yet known what this mean. Then second is iha, that is questioning state, when queries arise, what is this sound? And then third stage, our state, that is state of definite judgment that this is the sound of a car. And then the fourth stage is dharan, state of retention, when the mind holds the knowledge. This is how we give an account of the process by which ordinary perception takes place and is retained in the mind of a person. And that is your, I just referred to earlier also, their theory of Syadvad. This theory generally is misunderstood. This is not the theory of possibilities, rather this is the theory of judgment, which is relative. And you can further understand this theory if you just recollect the story of 6 friends while who are approaching to decide that what an elephant is. And here in Syadvad, they give 7 options about one object, that an object or a statement or knowledge, it can be interpreted, can be understood by 7 ways. They suppose some object is there. So, they will say in Syadvad, they will say somehow S is present, S means the object, is, P means present. So, he will call it Syati Asti. Somehow S is present, subject is present. Somehow S is not P, subject is not present, something is not present. So, these are given there on the screen. If you see them, we can describe in 7 ways. So, in as a whole, in Jain theory, Jain system, Jain darshan, they focus on that every object is Ananta Dharma, and it's very difficult to know because we have limited knowledge. We can understand the object, one can understand the objects only when one becomes omniscient, and one becomes omniscient when one has endless knowledge, endless bliss, endless perception, and endless consciousness. So, this is how the Jain darshan, taking into account the constituents of reality, that is Dravya, substance, defines soul, kinds of soul, and then gives path to liberation. So, to some extent this darshan is also ethical. So, since 6th century, the darshans which were working, they were working on ethics. They were not working on metaphysical problems. They are working on practical solution, practical problems, and how, and considering that life is full of sufferings and how we can overcome those afflictions, those sufferings, how we can overcome our karmas, because of which we are in this cycle of birth. So, here I say that this is all from my side. Thank you.